Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Collar Business Podcast, where we discuss the realest, rawest, most relevant stories and strategies behind building every corner of a blue collar business. I'm your host, Cy Kirby, and I want to help you. What it took me, trial and error, and a whole lot of money to learn. The information that no one in this industry is willing to share. Whether you're under that shade tree or have your hard hat on, let's expand your toolbox. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Blue Collar Business Podcast, brought to you by and sponsored by this beautiful studio that we're sitting in here in Rogers, Arkansas. Podcastvideos.com. They're on all your socials. They, of course, push our content out from the Blue Collar Business Podcast through all of our socials, so ensure you're checking that as well. Today, we're going to continue with February being, this is getting filmed. I don't know if this will come out in February, but Continued Education Month. We previously had Chad Burkett in here with Springdale School District. He's a CTE ag teacher down there. But we get to be partnered up with his partner in crime today, Mr. Rodney Ellis, who is the Workforce Training Director. And we mentioned you a bunch in that first podcast. I know it's not out yet, but you guys can catch all those episodes at bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com, completely free there. If you're listening from one of your streaming platforms, give us a follow or a rating at the end of the show. Guys, appreciate you being here.
Pleasure.
Thanks. Seriously. Like I said, guys, we're going to be continuing talking about CTE, as it's commonly referred to as an acronym, but continued education, and what these gentlemen have been doing. Chad at the student level, and Rodney more at the, I guess, financial, budgetary, program setting, strategy, what else, other hats.
We just call him the boss.
The boss. So basically, they're a dynamic duo, and you have two gentlemen that are extremely passionate about the same thing. They have no problem sitting here sharing that they do butt heads, carrying the same passion through what they're doing. But they are doing something that I wish every single high school in America would do. And they are giving young, this is 16 to 18. Can they get in? What age can they get in? Freshman, sophomore? Or is this like a junior, senior thing?
Well, actually, we've got them coming in as 7th and 8th graders now.
Wow.
So we've got them starting on some small skill trade courses. So we're trying to really ramp up to those lower grade levels.
Wow.
We've got some little exploratory courses that are actually offered to our 4th and 5th graders.
That's so cool. Why would you not start getting them motor skills moving already, you know?
For sure.
And so by the time they're graduating, I kind of went off the last previous episode, and if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. But they have from robotics welding to ammonia, refrigeration, to diesel shop, CDL school, heavy equipment school, all at this grade level school. This isn't college and past. This is right there in the high school district. Now we're talking about in the junior high, middle school region, getting some fine motor skills started. Like, there is not enough programs in this country that are putting out actual employees into the local workforce that are skilled trades and blue-collar minded folks that actually have skills. OSHA 30. What's some of the other certifications that they're coming out with?
Oh, yeah. So we work with various, organizations, APAC, Rogers Hunt Group. We do MSHA. We look at industrial safety training. I mean, we're constantly looking at anything we can add. So we try to give them as many certifications, skill sets, wastewater or stormwater.
That's right.
Operator licenses within municipalities, because each municipality has their own qualifications. So we look for anything we can get a kid. We want them to have as many different experiences so they translate that into hitting the ground running and making people money.
It's crazy. And you guys are actually delivering them as soon as they come out of high school. You're working with the local companies you mentioned, including Cyclone Excavation and Utilities. I'm really hoping this semester we crank out the first employee for us over summertime. So I'm looking forward to that, and got my eyes on a few already. But I've spent some time down there, and I'm completely passionate, of course, about bringing these skilled trades and bridging the gap between education and workforce. And that leads us right into our first kind of segment here, gentlemen. I'll let you guys take it away, but there is such a gap, and I understand, as you have explained this to me, Rodney, is like there was such a gap from where your workforce, where you were at previously with your employer, and then you worked with the school programs to kind of fill those roles.
Right.
Talk about it.
Yeah. So really, I got to give some kudos to Dr. Cleveland, our superintendent. He saw this 4 years ago and really wanted to stamp our district. There's a huge gap. You're talking about credentialing, but in the skill sets, and we're turning out and developing a human product. We want that product to go out and be successful in the workplace, in society, in your community. So our goal to bridge that gap is to work with employers just like SciCon, or we're working with Navajo's, or if we work with an industrial maintenance employer. How can we take what you need from that employee side, from the technical skill to the soft skill, and bridge the gap to education? Unfortunately, in my opinion, education kind of went off on the track more towards a lot of white-collar, high academic areas, which doesn't really fit the need for service-oriented skilled trades and all the other pieces that overlap that in our society. So as our districts moved forward over the last working towards 4 years now, Chad had been on the ground doing this for a long time. Other teachers have in our district. I just came along and tried to put some pieces together, along with a lot of other people, where we're going to work with you as an employer. Sci's going to tell us, hey, this is a skill set that I need. We take that back. We try to incorporate that into our training. So you stamp it, and at the end of the day, this is something we're going to get that we can take, put in the field.
It's literally, it's every small business owner or large employee owner company his dream, literally coming out with. I still have guys that makes me so mad when I said, hey, are they OSHA 30 certified? They're coming out of high school. I still have guys that I have paid for 2 or 3 rounds of OSHA training to get done on their computer that they take home with them, and I still can't get it. I mean, it is crazy. And you mentioned soft skills too. And I got to witness that, from clocking in, clocking out, to what other kind of soft skills we talking?
So I think communication, right? How that's a big piece. And you mentioned earlier, before we started the podcast, the business side, more towards an entrepreneurial slant of this, where students who go into these positions, they may be going from $0 to $20 an hour. So how do I learn how to budget? How can I take those skills, along with clocking in, showing up, the punctuality, communicating effectively, being coachable and approachable, so that I can take those skill sets and then hone in on the business side, so that I'm going to make a better employee for you, who's looking out for your profitability, the long-term piece of myself as an employee in your company. So all those things we're trying to work on a day-to-day basis, of how we can make our students better and more productive.
That's so cool. Like, just honest to God, like, I don't know how many is there in the state of Arkansas other than Springdale that you know of?
Well, there's pockets. I mean, there's pockets across the state that do a good job. We've got some up in our region, and I think probably what happens collectively is, we get into Friday Night Light syndrome sometimes, which I think we could benefit more as a region of working cohesively. But, we keep tabs on what we do. I don't really look at a lot of what other schools do, but I really try to focus on how we can get better. Just like the day we met with you, Si, if an employer comes to myself or Chad, we're going to listen to what your needs are. We want to address those needs, and we're going to be about skill performance, skill-based learning, how we can tie that to a certification if you need it, like OSHA 10 or OSHA 30. And then, obviously we want that student to graduate, perform academically, but we're trying to hit all those markers.
I'm just sitting here thinking of all the stories and all the 18 to 22-year-old employee that comes to us, and the accolades and the experience that one of your candidates that came through y'all's program, like, it's not even remotely close. Like, some of this stuff I have to beg employee guys to clock in. Hey, 3 weeks later, clock in if you want a paycheck. You got to clock in. I got to know you were here and at the job. And then just some of the stories. And it goes to show, I think, the mindset of these kids. It's not, and are you hand-picking these kids? Are they having to sign up? Kind of talk about that too.
I mean, some we recruit, but I'll just be honest with you, we take everybody.
It's hard.
I mean, we don't care. We want everyone. I mean, if somebody's out there and they want to bring a kid, we want them. We don't care, whatever limitations they may have. They'll be surprised that some parents thought their kids were really limited in areas, and we find them some of the best jobs because everybody has skill sets. There's a place for them to fit, and back to what you're talking about. My tack in teaching is multifaceted. One, I work for everybody that's watching the show. I'm paid by tax dollars. So I take it very seriously. I need to turn out a high quality product for the money that the community pays me. We don't waste time. We're not wasting the children's time.
Don't.
We want to get a walk done. The other thing is I transition kids out of a mindset. They share the ownership. So they know exactly what my budget is. They know what the budget of every project we work on is. They know burn rates. They know how much that tank of diesel costs, still fencing costs, because at the end of the day, if they can't translate that into you as an employer or any other employer is not making money, then how are they going to stay employed? And so they have to take ownership in that. And then, really the last facet I wanted to just talk about is before they leave, I make them do a real world budget. And I'm not talking some nonsense. I've got a spreadsheet that they have to go through. They have to fill out everything. I want to know an apartment they can rent that day, or know a vehicle that they either own or they're going to buy that day. They need to know how much their smokes are going to cost.
You bet.
But how much their vapes are going to cost. Nobody wants to talk about that. But the reality is if they can't pay their bills and they have all this stuff stacked up on them, then they become a broken person and they're not a productive employee. So we talk through all these things. We're trying to bridge the gap of transitioning because it's a big enough shock as it is. And nobody wants to talk about those things.
No.
But the reality is they're going to have biases. And sometimes talking about the bias on the front end prevents the bias. And so, but, they got to understand how to budget their money. They can't afford gas and they're having nicotine withdrawals. They're not going to be productive.
Hell, that's every blue collar. Right?
But, I mean,
you get one point.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if they had somebody like y'all self, they're at 17, 18 years old. Do you know what a budget is? No, I ain't got a clue. What are you talking about?
What they do is these budgets, man, they'll have a $6,500 budget and a $2,500 paycheck. And I was like, what do I do? They literally don't know what to do. It's like, you're going to start trimming some fat. You're going to be like I was as a kid when my dad got laid off from Jones Truck Line, dumped all those mechanics in there. We killed a lot of deer that way.
That's right. I mean, you do what you got to do. So I think there's so many members of this audience probably listening to this and going, oh my gosh, where was this 15, 20, or 40 years ago? And I guess it was a thing back. When did this kind of program just kind of stop? Because I hear about it all the time. Well, back when CHOP was a thing, we learned all this,
I think that you used to call it industrial arts. And back in the day, in 60s, I'm not sure the exact original date.
Right.
Transition to 70s and 80s. And in the 90s, as computers came about, everybody got really smart. We were going to all be white collar. Everybody had to have a college degree. And, I've heard some people say you can't outsource service, and we can't to survive as a nation. And so now we've transitioned, I would say from the 90s to the 2000s, Chad's seen this in his career. I've seen it in mine. We've really created some generational deficiencies where, the internet, for example, right? I've heard the term disciples of the internet. You're going to go down the rabbit hole and get all that right answers, but we're trying to really develop complex problem solving. You hear that a lot. It's functioning. It's everyday functioning. Doesn't matter what role you're in, what jobs you're in. Chad does a tremendous job. A lot of our staff do, in trying to hone these skills in and bridge this gap. And where you need, and you see it as a business owner, you see it from where you stand
Every
from the
day.
that you were in high school now in this role.
Yeah.
You see the business skills that you needed. So in education, instead of, really transitioning to everyone's white collar, survive off of AI and all these other things, back to Chad's point, if we can take and hone in our skill sets, make you productive, just like that budget piece, just like the technical piece, you're still 17, 18. You got some maturation you got to do, but you have employees walking off the street who have to mature.
Oh,
So the more experience we can give them, and we've got some hungry kids who are already working fast food retail, so why not offer them technical training that can fit their bill at the end of the day? And now they're going to walk into a higher paying level, and we're starting to bridge that gap where education, in my opinion, should meet what your community needs in a workforce, skill development perspective, but then also in that productive citizen, and I think in some areas we've slipped, but we're really trying to turn that ship back and get on course.
Yeah. No, 100% you guys are. And it's the little things at the end of the day. And yeah, I can tell you endless stories for hours on end about employees that need to mature in a various sense. And I've still got leadership within my company right now that there is things they could mature on. There's things I could mature on. There's no doubt about it. But it's just crazy to imagine having, and I'm really excited for when school's up, to be honest with you. And we're going to have plenty of need for some good workers come summertime. I'm really, really excited. But the next thing I kind of really want to talk about is that a lot of these, maybe I'm completely wrong here, but a lot of their perceptions walking in to the classroom, maybe day one, day two, they're, is this really, maybe just here to kill time, whatever it is. But is their perception about it that, oh, well, this is cool, but can I actually, do you change their perception about the money, I guess you would say? Because to your point, Rodney, I have watched it go through. I remember when the first Macintosh computer, and I went to elementary school in Canada, so it was a little bit different version than here, but it was in the 90s. I watched this big bubble thing come in, and we were going to all type on the computer, and everything was great, and everybody was going white collar. My entire, I went to school right here at Alumni Rogers. I was part of FFA back then. We weren't allowed much Rogers at that time. You know what I mean? Everybody was, you're going to college, you're going to college, you're going to college. I'm like, boys, I barely made it through high school. I'm not going to college. Y'all are crazy. And so did I have any idea when I made that that decision in that moment that I would end up here doing any of what I'm doing now? No, I had no idea about any of that. But my perception of the trades from that moment, just from walking through school and how I was, should we say, indoctrinated to think, of there's only one option when you leave here. There wasn't classes. This would have been, I graduated in 2009, so this would have been that 2000 area like you were speaking of. They really started to make you trickle back. Oh, did you hear about this welding class? Or you can go off site here and meet this. And it was kind of a pain, more or less, to put a part of your day. And I was in the workforce program my senior year. So I would have ate all of this up and I would have been in the mechanic side trying to learn, because I am a terrible mechanic. I can diagnose things through the phone better than I can do anything. And that's not much diagnose. Is it? Okay, that's some brakes or wheel bearing failure, just drive to the shop, But what I'm trying to get at, a long story short, there's many folks make fun of me for saying, but that perception about trade jobs, you know what I mean? From that college degree when they walk in, all right, is this really, what percentage would you say, to get into this question, when they first walk through the door, that what percentage are actually taking this seriously, going to make a career about this because money is their ultimate mind made up? And what's the percentage of, I'm just here for here when they enter?
Well, for me, It may sound arrogant. There's no arrogance in it. It's just established a track record, 20 plus years. People know who I am. I'm the guy that kind of, they'll say that, I might fight you one day and then I'll be paying for your grandma's funeral.
Make that little reputation.
Yeah, but the point being is they know I'm the guy that's going to help them get ready to find a job.
Yeah.
And I'll invest in them. And I'm going to be very real and hard on them because, you don't get good by having weak-minded people, and so iron sharpens iron.
Yes, sir.
They've got to be challenged. They got to be held accountable. I hold myself to the same standards, show up early, work hard, stay late, always do what you say. And so for me, they all know and they all come wanting. The problem that I face, as of late, and it's kind of always been there, is people struggle in today's society to have grit. And so teachers,
perseverance, man, it's not easy
to grind because men have to grind and women. I mean, it's both. My wife's been a teacher for, 25 years. She grinds every day.
Thank you.
It's tough. Yeah, but it's tough. My dad, he's a diesel mechanic, 55 years, grind every day. He worked for two companies, Jones Truck Line and Pam Transport, PTSI, ground, after the Marine Corps, just grind every day. And, you got to have a mindset, Rodney and I, we butt heads pretty often because you're not going to achieve anything societally or in an organization if you got weak-minded people.
That's right.
And we have to challenge one another to come to the greater good. But at the end of the day, teaching those kids, you can't throw the towel in. I'm going to be there every day. It doesn't matter how, it's like, you're going to get chewed up and spit out, but you be there tomorrow and you work just as hard as you did the day before.
Yeah.
And so all might come in, they know what's expected of them. They know if they put the work in, we're going to partner them with an employer. The cool thing about me now at this point is I work with enough employers. I know what employers like, and the employers trust me enough to say, this kid has personality and skill set that fits what you like. Some, like I may have a kid that's a hard worker, but is pretty immature, likes to joke around. That fits real well with some companies. Other companies, they're not going to put up with that. They want a 65-year-old man that's in an 18-year-old body.
That's right.
I have some of those. Yeah, but that's kind of matchmaking part on mine. But all I know, they're going to come in. They want to do blue collar because I've shown them. They see it every day. I said it last time. I can go do a blue collar job, and I do. I build stuff. I did a roofing job a couple summers ago for my 12-year-old. We worked 21 days straight, 18 hours a day. And, what he found was at the end of that, he had burnt soles off his shoes. He was blistered, but he had $6,000 in his pocket after taxes as a 12-year-old. And it was like, Dad, we can make so much money. It was like, I don't know what you want to do this every day, but the point is,
you taste it,
you learn it. And I could still go, I got a little backhoe of my own. I can go dig footings for a buddy of mine that does concrete this weekend. We can put in 4 house footings in a day and make more than I make the school in a month. but there's worthwhile work to be done with these kids and to bridge the gap, because at the end of the day, you can't gripe about a problem and not be part of the solution.
That's right.
And we're helping people. At the end of the day, when they're throwing dirt in our face when we're at the end of this life, what will you've left behind? Well, the legacy is, is your name going to remember for one generation or 2 generations, or is it going to be, how many people? Dad always said, how good a job you did in this life, or how many people will show up at the funeral. And so, it's about giving back. We want to provide a quality product for industry partners, and we need industry partners.
Legacy isn't about what you leave behind; it's what you leave behind in those folks.
For sure,
that's right. You know what I mean? Then I didn't quite say that quite right, but when I read it the first time on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, I didn't come up with that by any means. I was sitting there going, well, that kind of changes my mind about some things.
For sure.
A lot of times you're sitting there so hypercritical of myself, and I think anybody that is in the entrepreneurial mindset is, and get a little down on myself sometimes. But then I remember, and I walk up and my team, hey, how's the kids? How's this? Pick up a conversation, work's getting done, and they care about me. You know what I mean? And I care about them, and they know that. If for a fact, they call me at 2 a.m., they call me at 5 a.m., it don't matter. I'm going to be there.
Yep.
And so I think that legacy word is, I've watched you with your kids, and I've watched both of you, and the passion you have with them was, I don't even know the right word for it, honestly. It was inspiring would probably be the best word. And it made me want to do more and get involved, because it's like, oh my God, I've been talking about this for years. Why isn't anybody well, it's right here under my nose.
And something else, people think these kids are done.
Mm-hmm.
They can read somebody in 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fake caring about somebody. You can't fake loving somebody. And that's something else I brought back. Most of these kids have never been told they've been loved. You know, I tell every one of them every day, I don't love you. Yeah, and you'll be surprised at how it changes the climate, because grown men need to look at young people and tell them they love them and mean it.
Yeah. And that you're proud of
The
them.
world's perverted the word love.
Yeah.
You know, love means hold them accountable, expect a lot out of them, care about them, make sure they're doing okay. Today, I had an old burrito. I split it with a kid. He's going through a tough time. But you know what? You don't know how much that picked him up.
Right.
And then when, he goes to work for you or one of our other great partners in West Arkansas, that'd be something that was ingrained in his mind. Somebody cared about me one day, and he'll offer somebody half of his sandwich or whatever.
It's funny. It's the little things.
It's so silly.
But caring about your team is everything, and starting them off from the love and the care side of it, because it's a little brutal when they walk out there. But I've seen your tough love. You know what I mean? It's not. It's when he says he loves them. It's not obvious. I'm not talking about like nurtured. Oh, you guys, you got this. And he hands out those pat on the backs. But I see a lot more. Hey, get you. Come on now, boys.
They earn it.
Yeah, they do.
That's the thing about Chad and some of our other instructors. I mean, specifically to Chad, he's teaching them life 101. And we're the coaling ground for that. And that's part of what your tax dollars pay for. You don't know that you're getting it sometimes because, education is always outlined in a book for most people. I grew up on farms, still farm. We both come from really strong work backgrounds, work ethics. We've worked at other places outside of education. Mine started out as a mechanic background, still do all that. So I think that also helps bring pieces of that to the table. And you ask about exposure, how do we get kids interested? Well, that word. They don't know what they don't know. So how do we expose them? Bring you in. We bring other partners in. We got to go out and buy
Summer camps.
Get
little kids. I mean, we had some second graders welding summer forecast.
These guys do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good at it. They are.
And guess what? They're there every day.
Yeah.
You bet. Ready to learn more.
Yeah. And that's the things we have to do to expose parents and students, because I think, again, we got into this mindset that everyone was going to college, and we're still fighting that mindset even in our internal systems. And the message is starting to shift. But that paradigm, back to early 2000s for you, I'd say some advantages came with, a famous guy named Mike Rowe, who really got
get you on
preached
here.
it. Yeah. And so, and other people, here you are. And so I think to that, there's a rebranding going on for skilled trades, and
That's a good way of putting it.
Good old work ethic that's needed. And I think there's a lot of pieces in place. We're trying to be a part of that puzzle for our students. We got a lot of kids, again, who are already working. So how can we take this and this training, show you what's out there? Because, we got to have equipment. We've got to have the trucks for the CDL. We've got to have the advanced manufacturing, industrial maintenance. We got to have the robotics. There's a lot of things that we have to have an education to compete with other educational institutions, especially in the high school realm. But at the end of the day, to Chad's point, the more we can expose them, not only to what's out there for you, but what it means to go to work, to have good work ethic, to be tough on them, to show them what life's about a little bit. Then when they come to you, if we can expose them enough, they'll come to you and they'll finish off, but they'll make that, you mentioned branding, for Sycon earlier. So, just based on that self-fencing.
Yeah.
So if we can take them to a job site or we can get them on a piece of heavy equipment, then that kid, we're fishing with 1,000 hooks a day. We're going to catch some fish.
You bet.
So that's what we're after.
And it's super cool to hear you guys bring up the partnerships that you guys have, not just from the putting the kids in place of work, but the partnerships and supplying the trucks, supplying this equipment, supplying the robotics in the industrial. Talk a little bit about that and give a few shout outs. I would really like to hear some of the local folks that you guys are working with.
I mean, I could go on all day long.
Do it.
Mars Electric, Multicraft, Mountain Mechanical, Action Mechanical, MH Backhoe, Michael Haythorne.
And my guy.
We go down APAC, Rogers Hunt Group, Emery Sat. We have Nabholz. I was just talking to Sheila. She's the recruiter there. Justin Clark's on the excavation side. Talked to both those folks yesterday. We've got just a pile of partners. I'm gonna leave people off, and I'm sorry.
Cargill's been big.
Cargill, Tyson, SNG, George's, Arcola. Like I said, Murray Klein there at APAC, he reinvented how we train CDL drivers there. He took a chance on us. We said last week, we are training, every driver we trained went to work for them, with the exception being one went to work for White River Environmental, Joe Reed.
Hey, shout out to Joe Reed. Go check out that episode if you haven't. BlueCollarBusinessReference.com.
Yeah, White River Environmental, they invest in us. I mean, we could go down the list. Star Mechanical Supply, Rush Truck Centers,
Crane Electric,
yeah, Josh Crane. I taught him when I was at Harbor. He's hired our kids left and right, and man's right. He's a good dude. Yeah, he's all these people are great. I mean, I'm sorry if I forgot you. Listen, you're invaluable to us.
JD Manufacturing.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a ton of
Brunelay,
Daco,
Steel Yard,
Steel Works now. So they're coming in. I mean, our list would be
NWA Steel.
Long.
I mean,
long.
We have an endless list of partners, and really, the sky's the limit. I mean, we need more partners. We want there to be a deficit of students to fill your positions, and I know there is right now. We just need you to come to the table. And like I said last week, the most invaluable thing to me is my word. I'm going to do what I say, and we'll provide you with a quality product. And if you just got to come see us.
And I would add to that, we want to know from our partners, and we're continually, that's one of my roles, and Chad does this effectively, but we go out and we beat the street and beat the bushes trying to find more partners, because we want to come to you and say, we're kind of like talent acquisition on an education level. So, Si, what do you need from us? What can we offer? Here's what we show you what we do. What can you take away from this and go put into place in your company? And so we want to come to the table as a willing partner. And I'm not going to come asking you for money. We're going to try to do as much as we can. I think once you buy our product, that'll take care of itself. And so you'll see, hey, this is worth investing in.
Oh, 100%.
And our goal is to provide you with that human capital that's going to grow our region and grow our state and grow our local economies. And if we can do that, then people will come to the table, and that's what happens. You got people who kind of fold their arms. They're waiting to see what we do. They go high school. I remember when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And so I think post-COVID really mashed the gas on opportunities for our students. It kind of broke that barrier of we're not even looking at you unless you're 18 to 21. Like Springdale Water Utilities, Heath Ward, I got to give a shout out to him. He took the age limit down from 21 to 18. They're hiring our kids. We work with ABC Contractors, AGC. They're looking at youth apprenticeship. That's another big piece that we're looking at.
Yeah, Slayer Competitors, Garrett X. I mean,
Kelly Mechanicals,
$25,000 worth of pipes so we can start doing utility stuff.
That's so awesome.
So, I mean, everybody's coming to the table. And the cool thing about it is all these companies don't even realize you guys are working together, because every little piece y'all put together makes a more complete student transitions into employee. Because, I mean, they got some pipe. Garrett X got some pipe. Dalton Oaks there. Evan Davis, the General Super. They got some pipe that got out of date.
Yep.
And they're like, it's super expensive pipe, and we don't just want to throw it away. It's too good. But they're like, we can
still got some of that in my yard right now.
Donate it to us, and guess what? We then can get a set of old civil plans from you, and we can put in whatever kind of pipe. We got that yard out there, so why are we not doing that? And
Exactly.
So you
tell people I need.
Yeah.
I like the pipeline.
So we haven't gotten into the pipeline part of excavation. And so this summer, I'm going to spend all the time I can. I'm going to beg you. I've already got an invitation for Garrett and Abholtz. I want to come out and get in a ditch with you.
Yeah.
We can do whatever waivers we need. We both want to install it. I want to do it. 2 summers ago, I put in HVAC. Last summer, we did CDL, heavy equipment stuff. I want to do the job for free for you, so I know how to do it.
Well, we really do, and that's at the end of the day, you know that we're serious, right? If we go sweat with you, you know we're real.
Sweat equity is a lot in our world.
Also, that's where we come to our industry partners again, and the state education system, they try to do a lot of good. They'll have a certification list, but if that doesn't mean anything to you, we want to tie it to skill sets.
Yeah.
So how can we better do that? You take pieces that you need, we can incorporate that into our training. So, again, hey, this is stamped on by SciCon. They're doing these things that we do out here every day. So I know when I'm picking someone up, just like APAC did with us on the CDL, we basically stamped their program. Chad went through the training. Murray Klein and group took a great, really leapt out in faith on us that we would do it. Now here we are, we're providing drivers, and it's saving them a lot of money.
Training is a lot of money.
So the more we can do and advertise that to our partners, it's a better product at the end of the day for you. It gives us really leverage from the standpoint of you just stamped us as a partner who's willing to provide you with a quality product, and we're going to tweak where we need to be as this industry changes to meet your needs.
Go ahead.
I just want to note, he said it at the beginning, but we could not do this as a school district without a man that is willing to break the mold. That's Dr. Jared Cleveland. He's willing to break the mold on how education's done. And a school board that lead the way on how to do education different in the state. We have a working school board. These people are ingrained in our society. They love Northwest Arkansas, but they love, moreover, the children of Springdale. And they give Dr. Cleveland and us the opportunity to provide these programs. If it wasn't for Dr. Cleveland, we wouldn't have this, So I can't thank him enough, because I know we push the limits every day, because I push him, he pushes me, and we both push educational leaders, because this is a weird way of doing education.
And that administrative team that I work with, Dr. Cleveland's staff, the Chad's Point School Board, we scare them sometimes, to be honest with you, what we're trying to do. But they realize, they see, we have opportunities at the school board meetings to bring our students up. They see what's happening, and it's life-changing for our kids. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do.
If you haven't spent any time, if you can't, obviously, when you're not local or can't get in touch with Rodney or Chad, if you're local around here, I encourage you to get with them. Spend a day with those kids. It literally changed a little bit of my heart. And it gave me, what it gave me? It gave me hope.
There is hope.
It was hope. It was just hopeful, because I am that generation. I'm 33, 34 this year. So I still am that younger generation everybody talks about, that we ain't good for nothing. I'm like, guys, if we had a little bit of training, a little bit of help before we got sent off into this world, it would have been a little bit easier, I think.
Well, we can't sit around on the porches, as old codgers and say, this young generation,
that's right.
blah, 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 blah. If you're not willing to get out there and work alongside them and listen, and kids haven't changed that much.
No. They're the
same as they always been.
I was fixing to jump on the employers. I want to talk to you for just a second. You have to break the mold, is a good way of putting it, Chad. You can't just, them kids, they just ain't gonna learn. Well, yes, they have changed, and they have changed in the way they learn and how they retain information. I get 82% of global web traffic is video intake through the internet. maybe employers maybe start changing that training program that you've had in place for 40 years if you can't retain somebody younger. And that's the mold that I've been willing to kind of push the button on. Definitely needed to work on our own internal training programs. But I have retained the younger generation. Like most of my guys that have been with me in that 2 to 4 year realm out of the 9 years we've been a thing, these guys are anywhere from 23 to 30 years old. Like, and they come from, one guy was from the pole industry in California, never laid really other than a little bit of plumbing and PVC. And another kid, can't call him a kid. I used to babysit him as a kid. That's why I call him a kid. So no offense, and Nate, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It came from Red Robin as a host. Had no idea about pipeline, but he fell in line with a good crew that cared about him, showed him the right way. And I tell every single one of my people all the time, this is the mindset I have with my crews, admin team. I don't care who it is. I'll never get mad at you for something you don't know, because it's my job. It's my job to train you. And now, okay, time out. Is this a big enough thing that I really need to go, whoa, why do you not know this? There is definitely a cog in the wheel, because how long have you been here? You've been here 2 years? You should know this. This isn't, now you've been here 60 days? Totally understand. If there's a mistake that comes from that could have easily been avoided with a little bit. I just, the amount of times that, okay, Red Robin host, it wouldn't have took him 2 years to get where he's at if he had just a little bit of this background. And I can't even imagine you sitting out there digging a ditch, a straight ditch, set by your GPS points off your silver print. Heck, we'll help you build a model if you want, so they can use it on their GPS wand and lay that stuff out, that utilities, and then watch that stuff get put in the ground. I would be honored to show them how to bolt up a T, bolt up a hydrant, any of that, run a service line from how our water comes from the main line to the service line. Like, I think you guys start in pipe laying school, let's call it, part of that. I think you'll be having Springdale Water. You'll be having all of us boys, Garrett X, myself. We're all going to be fighting after them, because that is such a dying trade. And if you didn't spend any time in the municipalities like I did myself to even learn about, oh, what do you mean there's water and sewer? People need to maintain and distribute and treat all this. It wasn't even an option. I was supposed to go to college,
Right.
So I just wanted to highlight that. But when you got to talk a little bit about the future. Like, it's astonishing what you have done with the program, what you're turning out. You're doing exactly like you guys said you would do. Shout out to Dr. Cleveland and the Springdale School Board for allowing this to even get to what it is today. But can you share anything about what you think the future of this program looks like? And a little bit, not only that, the future of skilled trades as programs like this get picked up through the country.
What I would like to do
Go ahead.
is segment out our training programs to where students would actually start visiting with potential employers when they're 10th or 11th grade. And we do just like what Murray Klein pioneered. We provide a very detailed set of training guidelines for that kid. So the kid might declare they're going to be a utility, working utilities, or they're going to be an electrician, or they're going to work in industrial, maintenance. And we already have some of these things in place, but we specifically provide training on the needs that you would need. So whatever kind of pipe that you're running today, and whatever kind of the primary utility, you're running, we would provide a SciCon specific training module that they would do exactly what you want. We would utilize your in-house training. We'd obviously, some of it I'm sure is proprietary, but that's what I see. It's like Murray broke the mold. We do SMG. Russ Kirkpatrick he came from a long line of trucking training. He was, training at Tyson before he moved to APAC.
Oh, wow.
He started the CDL program at NW.
TI?
Northwest Arkansas Community College.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Russ's training is so detailed. And so it transitions into any employee. I mean, we send these kids out. If somebody else is looking at it, it's like, golly, we didn't know the air brake test like this. And so that's what we want. That's what I foresee The next thing is, I just want to get in more career areas where I have gaps in learning so I can accurately depict, if I'm not out doing the job, that I don't know what's going on. And I've always hated about people that quit learning. They're like, well, I plumbed 20 years. Well, plumbing 20 years ago is different, and I stay on the cutting edge of that too. I mean, if it's something that's going on, I have a lot of the same plumbing tools that modern plumbers use every day now. We have to have those in our shop. I own those personally. And so it's constantly, changing the paradigm of how we educate. And I have to constantly learn. And I like learning. Life's boring if you're not trying to, add a new cog to the wheel. So,
or fix the cog.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. But, I want partners to come to the table, say, this is what I want. Let me go do it with them a little bit. And this is where we push the school board, and I push Rodney a little more. So you got to give me a day or two to go get in the ditch. I'll lay in the mud hole. I don't care.
Right.
And I think over time we'll get more people involved. So
I think, go ahead, Rod.
Well, just to tap into that, I think that you asked it earlier, we're exposing, we're branding, and also to this piece, like the future. So we've got great partnerships. Another partner that I didn't mention earlier is Department of Commerce, Arkansas Office of Skills and Development.
The best.
And they've worked with us on a lot of these. And some of the reasons they do is because they know that we deliver. Mm-hmm. And I think to Chad's point, how can we engage? And what I ask in partners, again, like you're the subject matter expert of SciCon. Mm-hmm. You can't even spend a day, and that's what Chad's basically saying. If we get you in, you come spend some time with us. Here's the biggest thing we see when we're installing pipe. Here's our biggest problem, right? Our kids learn that. We spent a day, Chad took his students over to the Springdale engineering team at the city, worked on permitting, on grading. So we got our hands slapped a little bit, but it's a good lesson for us to learn on grading, so we were all legal.
So
it was good.
Those girls out last week, I'm doing our weekly, we had to do, every time it rains, we
stormwater.
So, and then they surveyed and they went around, and I told them, they're the boss. They zinged me. They're like, we don't have enough T-posts in. And they're like, we need T-posts. So I was like, well, I'll get on. They're like, you need to get on it, or you need to get your boss on it. That's right. And that's what you want. You don't want somebody that's forgetting to do it, and then the inspector shows up, and then they're calling you the boss man, and you got things to do. You're trying to make money, not get the inspector off your back.
But if we can that's engagement to me, because it's like that example again of APAC. We've had other companies. Chris Chandler's a great partner with us, Chandler Equipment. He'll come in, show us a problem area. They've got some SMEs on robotics because they take robots. Chris will buy salvage robots and design the end of our tooling. He's got about 26 robots in there manufacturing 5 different products. So we get that person who comes in and they work with us, and we adopt that piece of training, or we go and we learn that as an instructor. That's really the rubber that meets the road at the end of the day. So then again, it's SciCon, hey, I put my stamp on it. These guys have been out here. They've spent time with our crews. They know how we do it. Then that, that we're teaching that every day. So that's going to really leverage our students when they go out in the world. We've got a product that people trust. And at the end of the day, I'm excited about where we're going. I think that education, there's people in it like Dr. Cleveland, our school board. Dr. Cleveland has a lot of influence in the state of Arkansas. There's other schools out here. You got small little rural schools out here trying to get this done too, to keep surviving in their areas. And so, how do we take these models and implement them across all these school districts for the state of Arkansas, and even you think about it from a national scale? So I think that education is trying to change. It takes a lot of work. We're changing perceptions about, not everybody's college bound. You got kids out here who want to learn this, and how do we expose them to companies like, the ones we've listed, the partnerships. And at the end of the day, I think we're going to see that needle start to turn, and we're in this just great, it's just providential what we're in Northwest Arkansas. And so really for us, we're in a land of opportunity, no pun intended, we truly are here. We want to meet those needs, and we think that our recipe is working, and we want your input on our recipe. You know, as a partner, how can we get better? I don't really care about the pat on the back. I'm just about how we get better every day.
That's
And we want to take, and like Chad said, you know, nobody's getting rich in education. They're not getting rich at Psychon Utilities. We're out here trying to chip away every day, make a living. Right. But if we can make a difference with these kids and their families, and we got parents who see this, and those parents want to learn it, you know, and if we can tap into that resource, sky's the limit.
I've got as many parents jobs as I have kids.
Yeah.
You know, because you got the contact.
Relationships.
In fact, what he said, I mean, he's always supportive. You know, I got a shout out to Rodney, you know, like I said, I think me and him fuss as much as we get along. But, you know, like I said, you're not going to get anything done if you're not talking to people that are intelligent and passionate. People that are passionate, you're going to disagree with. But, you know, back to the point, we just got to be on the leading edge. The leading edge is getting people that do it every day in our realm. We got to get in their realm, and then we got to provide a quality product. And we add a lot of value, too. I mean, you know, just go back real quick. Where we see education is sometimes not something that we don't know about. Sometimes it's bringing back. You know, he got in, of all people, is my father-in-law. He's a machinist. And so we brought back manual mills and lathes. I got kids that if you had a machine down, they could go in, they take a piece of bar stock or, you know, tool steel. They could turn you out a new pin. They could go in, weld out, and turn that back out. And so what I'm saying is we brought back these old skills because, you know, like Tyson, you know, they in their industrial maintenance division, you know, they'll have an old mill and lathe there. You take a kid that can go in there, I guarantee you, there might be one person in there. We got a kid go in there, throw that mill together. They could go in, machine apart, have that machine back and running, saving thousands or millions of dollars a day to keep a plant running. And so we're trying to, sometimes it's not new. Sometimes it's bringing back lost skill sets.
Millwright tool and die makers, they're like purple unicorns, right? So you can't find them. And that's what his father-in-law, Dale Broderick, from, you know, 40 plus years experience. He's got a buddy who's an actual tool and die maker. So, you know, how do we bring that in? Because those are skill sets still needed and keep those things going. And Chad said, we're just reviving some things, you know, because technology can't cure all that. Those are hard skills that you can't duplicate. So if we can bring those back and meet those needs, and I think that even helps us more in the future.
AI and a computer does not get you a machine back and going.
Yeah.
When you got to order a part halfway across the world. If you got somebody that can do it, that's on your crew.
Oh, yeah.
Then you're not paying $10,000 for some wizard to come out, you know, and thank goodness for those wizards. But, you know, if you got an old kid that may be a knothead, he can get you back a going and save you $20,000. You're back to digging. I mean,
Downtime is the biggest.
Can't afford it.
No, it's the biggest challenge in my world, but you're just turning kids out with some general common sense of the working industry, and they can go any direction. They can even chase a little bit of a specialty before they're exiting. Like these guys, I don't know if we mentioned Caterpillar, but we've got to here, because when I walked out there, and if you guys haven't, you guys can go check out Psychon, SY-CON, on YouTube, and you can see a little bit of behind the story. Exactly when we were out there, they were tearing down a chicken house, like a 308, D3 dozer, D2 dozer, and skid steer 299, and you got your motor grader.
Yes, 120.
That's so cool. Oh, you got no motor grader.
I got to shout out to Joe Chandler at Riggs, and there's other people, but Joe, I think he really came to us through the diesel program. He was a recruiter, but that's also led us to this heavy equipment. And then, you know, just another great partner. And again, we'll miss some, and there's no intent there to miss anyone, but there's just, we've got huge partnerships and great people who believe like we do, and they want to invest in their students and in what we're trying to do.
Just come see us. We do not know. I know very little about anything, but I'm willing to learn, and we will train kids up to the best of our ability to meet what you need from us.
Education is expensive, but experience is priceless.
That's right.
And, yeah, man, I can't thank you guys enough. Last question of the day. I ask everybody on every episode. This is awfully I guess, a little different coming from our topic of conversation today. But word of encouragement for the blue collar worker who is just sick and tired of being stuck in the mud. And I want to add, you guys are hitting it nail on the head. And maybe I ask my own self this question today, because you guys are so focused just individually in your programs about learning and moving that needle every single day, challenging yourselves to put yourself in a non-complacent mode of how do I push this further. Any words of encouragement for that guy?
Yep, you got to get up every day.
That's right.
You got to face the world. My wife says that every day. And then you can either be a bulldozer or you can get ran over. So I choose to be a bulldozer.
Right.
I drop my head every day, and I run, and I just plow. And you got to plow. And if you keep plowing, it's just like what you talked about in your company. You don't get better by not working. You get better by doing repetition. You got to get up. I told my kids last night, pre-apprentice, I told every one of them, they weren't turning out the quality of work that I expected. I wanted them to go home last night, take everything away and sit and look in a mirror for 10 minutes. And you need to analyze everything from your physical appearance to the biases, the habits you're doing, what you have done wrong, forget what you've done wrong, and don't do it anymore. Set a goal and achieve it. You've got to look in the mirror and really analyze. You got to check out for a few minutes and check yourself.
I wish I
do this every day.
Carried that much when I was 17.
Every day.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I really do.
Then you got to tackle it, and you're going to get kicked in the mouth
Every day.
and people are going to stand on your throat. And guess what? You get up the next day and you do it again. And over time, you will get better. Can't quit learning. You've got to be constantly striving to be better. You're never going to get up out of it. If you're going home every day and it's woe is me, and you're laying on a video game, or you're scrolling TikTok, or you have a vice, a drinking habit, a smoking, whatever it may be, you're not doing anything for yourself. Okay? You've got to dig deep. Opportunities are waiting, but you got to be out there. And so, no woe is me. I think we feel sorry for ourselves too much.
I agree.
We live in the land of milk and honey.
Yeah.
The worst day that I've had my entire life, there are people on this planet begging for.
That's right.
They're begging for it. So what do we have to be whining about? Just get up, smile, have a good day. Positive attitude, analyze yourself, dig deep, and doze away.
Man, I needed that. Just don't take more than anybody.
That's the truth, man. I mean, I've had a lot of down days, but, you know, it really came to me a few years back. My mom was dying of dementia, and you know, there's some times I'd have to give her baths and stuff. And I did things that no son should have to do, because you're not mentally geared to do that for your own parent, especially of the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
And it humbled me to the point that I realized I don't have anything on this planet to be whining about.
Mm-hmm.
I create my own destiny through getting up, being positive, and working hard. And that's what we try to instill in kids every day. It's not fun. Life's not fun, but you sure have a great time. Yeah, my dad always said, fairest place you take your pig to show. And Mom always said, give me died, so you better get out there and get to work. So,
well, I got to say, guys, it has been such a pleasure sitting here talking about a program that not many have any clue about. It was right here underneath my nose. And I've been, you know, I need to get myself out there more, I guess. But I don't have much time, but so I don't know what's going on. But guys, if you've loved this episode, make sure you've checked out bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com. Watch and listen for free right there from the webpage. Or you should be listening to us, I'm assuming, from maybe Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, or Apple. Ensure that you give this episode a follow and a rating. Guys, Chad, Rodney, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you super sweet, really.
And I'm really excited to see after summer. I think we'll have another conversation, sit down, and kind of see what this year has transpired to, because I really want to stay updated, and I think the audience will too. So
For sure.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, I appreciate you.
Till next time, guys, be good.
If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with the fellers, check out our website to send us any questions and comments about your experience in the blue collar business. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way, and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. Till next time, guys.